is up, fellas? Week 3 of NFL points, picks, and props. He is Tommy Birch in Springfield, Massachusetts. He is Ben O'Connell in Chicago, Illinois. I am Kyle Garland in Denver, Colorado. We are the trio that bring you all the picks. And hey, guys, yes, not all of our teams are doing great, but we are doing the listeners a solid. Let's go through what we've done. So we pick all 15 games. We don't pick Thursday's game because most of you aren't going to see this until Friday, Saturday, or later. We pick 9 games a week that we think are really good games, the ones that we feel best about. We've got our top dogs. We've got our favorite. We got our easy money line picks. So we've picked 9 per week, or I'm sorry, 9 per week. And this is what our records are right now through 2 weeks. We have 9 wins, 2 losses, a tie, and then on the money line, we have made a combined $452.96. If you are paying attention to what we tell you, you are making money. The 3 of us, look, you need relationship advice, let us know. You were looking for a name for your new baby, talk to us. What college should your kid go to? What should they major in? Talk to us. What stock should you take care of now? What should you invest in for later? Should you get that new home? Talk to us. We know all. We are killing it right now through 2 weeks. And I know I've just jinxed this, but hell, I'm celebrating because we have been fantastic. Congratulations. A little round of applause for all 3 of us. Good job, guys. Good job.
Hooray.
I pat myself on the back a little
right.
bit, pat you guys on the back too.
We are going to have to get to the actual NFL games. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened last week. And I wasn't gonna talk about the Commanders and the Broncos game, but Ben submitted this graphic himself, so I feel like that it's fair game. Here we all are now. We are all now Washington Commanders fans. We are on the Commanders train. Commanders 2-0. Now I picked them to go to the playoffs. I am thrilled that Tommy and Ben are now on board. Go Commanders! Choo choo on the Commanders. Right, guys?
Oh, it was an absolutely painful way to get on, man. It was like they were pushing me on with a spear. But, oh my goodness, here I am, and I'm loving it now that I'm here. Let me tell you. Gosh, they're a fun football team, but why'd they have to do that to my Broncos? Just a little disrespectful. It could have been anybody, and I would have jumped on the train. But I see that it is fair play. I do get that.
I'm loving
it. I know, Tommy, you were a Sam Howell fan way back in the day.
Yeah, even last year I was a Sam Howell fan. I was rooting for him. I was excited for the season, and I think I was excited for good reason. And we talked about, how Terry McLaurin is hyping him up. If Terry McLaurin likes him, I like him too. So, I mean, geez, I am surprised at a 2-0 start.
And Brian Robinson has the most yards through 2 weeks of anybody who was shot when they were a rookie. So somebody probably want to double check that stat, but that's pretty impressive. Brian Robinson out there setting records in his second year for the Commanders. He's a stud. He had a great game on Sunday, and we are all on the Commanders train. I also wanted to give a shout out to what's his name, Kylan Granson.
Oh my goodness.
Kylan Granson, third year tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. He caught his first touchdown pass, and of course, what you do when you catch a touchdown pass is you have yourself a photo shoot with the football. His teammates are commenting on his Instagram post. Anthony Richardson, one of the guys who's jumped on there. Yeah, he's. I love funny people. Kylan Granson, now one of my favorite tight ends in football, and his girlfriend Daisy got involved. There they are welcoming the new little brown bundle of joy to the family. His first touchdown pass and that first football that he ever took into the end zone. Congrats to Kylan for being hysterical. Big fan of him. Guys, yeah, go ahead, Tommy.
I was going to say, my biggest concern is that Anthony Richardson is in the comments section. You got a concussion. Stay off your screens, buddy.
Yeah, they're acting like he's going to play this week, but that's
2.0 right there. I would not.
I'm fine. I'm fine with them letting Gardner Minshew get a start here. Protect this guy. This guy. I mean, we can talk about the rookie quarterbacks. I mean, but Anthony Richardson has looked really good. I love the way he looks, and you protect that. There's that guy's got a super bright future don't screw with it now. Don't take risks. Let the man sit. Let him get right. Yeah, I mean, come on. Don't do anything stupid with this guy.
Let him sit. I mean, I got Zach Moss on my fantasy team. You put Gardner Minshew in there, he's getting at least 5 more carries.
Hey, Gardner Minshew.
I love Gardner.
He can win some games.
Dude.
Some games.
He's a dude.
Does he still wear the cutoff jean shorts like the little Daisy Dukes? I haven't seen him in a while.
He still does everything that he did previously.
Awesome.
I follow him on
Good.
Instagram for that reason.
CJ Stroud also looking fantastic. He's having a great start to his season, and yeah, I mean, there's some fantastic rookies. In fact, some of those rookies is why they're gonna appear in today's game, guys. I had time to put together a full game. We're gonna do a full trivia game. The winner, of course, gets to make his picks first. You will go with your 5 picks, and then when it comes to picking your favorite, top dog and easy money line, you will go first. So, anybody remember who went first last week?
I think it was it Ben? Because I went first.
Yeah.
Ben, you won the game last week.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
it was a
Tommy,
coin flip.
we're gonna. It was the numbers of the football cards I had in my hand. All right, so Tommy, we're gonna go ahead and start with you. This is your first question. Okay. The Cowboys have only given up 10 points in 2 games, which leads the NFL. Which team has given up the second fewest points?
Second fewest points. It's not. Actually, it might be in 2 games. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Niners here.
It is not the San Francisco 49ers. It is the Cleveland Browns.
I should have known.
Cleveland Browns have only given up 29 points. That is the second fewest through 2 weeks. All right, on to you, Ben. The Miami Dolphins have scored 7 offensive touchdowns. Offensive touchdowns. Okay, that is key. Which is tied for first in the NFL. There are 7 touchdowns tied for first in the NFL. Who are they tied with 7 touchdowns, offensive touchdowns of their own? Let me try that without butchering it. There are 2 teams that have 7 offensive touchdowns. The Miami Dolphins are one. Who is the other team?
Dang, is it Denver?
It is not the Denver Broncos. It is, in fact, the Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
Green Bay
jeez.
Packers are tied for most offensive touchdowns through 2 weeks. All right.
Good for Love.
But don't worry. I do have a tiebreaker in this game. So if we get shut out, we'll be able to still crown
Let's
a
hope
winner.
we don't. Let's
Okay.
hope our football knowledge remains intact.
All right. Yeah, these are all stats through the first 2 weeks. Okay. In EPA per play, which is expected points added, it's one of my favorite advanced stats. The Dolphins and Packers are first and second, not surprisingly, since they are the teams that score the most offensive touchdowns. Who ranks third in EPA per play?
Third in EPA per play. Let me think of the best offensive teams in the NFL right now. So you said first and second were
First and second are the Dolphins and the Packers.
Dolphins, Packers. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I'm gonna say the 49ers again.
And the San Francisco 49ers are indeed correct.
Okay.
So that is a correct response for Tommy. I am marking you down with 1 right. All right, well done. Okay, Ben. Using DVOA as our metric, which is defensive defense versus or against average, or defense over the average. The Cowboys and Browns are first and second defensively as the 2 teams who've given up the fewest points. Who is third in defensive DVOA?
Is it Pittsburgh?
It is the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, jeez.
Buffalo Bills have minus 29%, which makes them third in defensive DVOA. And I apologize for the way I described DVOA there. But you can go on and read about it from it's at FTN Fantasy. It's one of my favorite stats. It's a great stat. Basically, it figures it's kind of like war is in other sports where it's against replacement. So it's how you do against an average team. And right now, the Buffalo Bills, the third best team against an average team. All right. Tommy, back to you. You are up 1-0. Of the three rookie quarterbacks, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, who has the best completion percentage through 2 weeks?
Completion
Best
percentage?
completion percentage.
I'm going to go with CJ Stroud. I think he's like 68%.
CJ Stroud is at 63.8, he's at 63.7. I'm having a hard time reading that. Anthony Richardson actually is at 63.8. He just edges out Stroud. Stroud does have the most yards for passing among the three. He's actually fourth in the NFL in passing yards. He's also the only of the three who has not thrown an interception. He has, however, taken 11 sacks, which is more than both Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson combined. So, but Stroud off to a great start, just edged out by Anthony Richardson in completion percentage. Okay, Ben, Yak, yards after catch. Puka Nacua leads everyone in the NFL with 111 yards of Yak. Behind him at 103 yards each are Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. Who is fourth with 95 yards of Yak?
Shoot.
Somebody we've talked about on this show. We've talked about this gentleman on this show a number of times.
Is it Zay Jones?
It is Bijan Robinson.
Wow.
Rookie running back Bijan Robinson is fourth in the NFL with 95 yards of Yak. Dude is a baller.
I was thinking George Pickens.
Did you see that that run he had where he just broke like 4 ankles in last week? Oh man, some of his highlights were from last week. They're just sick. You know, we're supposed to be in an age where we don't care about running backs. This guy is a running back who makes me care. This dude's awesome. And
you know what happened right after that play? After he broke like 4 guys' ankles, he got tackled, and the first thing he does is help the guy up.
I love him. Everything about him is great. Nothing bad about him. Okay. All right, Ben, you need this one. Brees Hall has the or is this to?
This is to
who's this to?
Tommy.
This is Tommy. Sorry, Tommy. Win this one. You get this one and you clinch. Okay. Brees Hall has the longest run of the season at 83 yards. Who has the longest touchdown run?
Longest touchdown run?
Brees Hall did not score on his 83-yard run. Who has the longest touchdown run?
Longest touchdown run. Why is this so tough? Longest touchdown run? It wasn't a running back, was it? Was it Anthony Richardson?
It was Christian McCaffrey.
51 yards. What am I talking about? It's 51.
Has the longest touchdown run of the season.
No.
Oh, Tommy. Tommy, you were so close. You were so close to clinching. All right, Ben, you need this one.
All right.
I'm a fake fan.
Who has the longest touchdown catch of the season?
The longest touchdown catch. Jeez. I feel like I should know this, and I'm just completely
I feel like you
blanking.
just did know it not that long ago. Like maybe a minute ago.
Is it Zay Jones?
It is George Pickens.
Yeah, I mentioned George Pickens.
Oh, it was Tommy that mentioned George Pickens. Yeah. George Pickens on Monday night, his 71-yard touchdown reception was the longest of the season. Just for our tiebreaker fun, okay, how many different receivers have caught a pass for 50 yards or longer this season? How many different receivers have caught a 50-yard or longer pass this season?
So who goes first on this?
Whoever would like to. Tommy, since you've won the game, go ahead and go first.
I'm going to go with 6. I think there's actually quite a few.
Ben.
8.
there have been 12 from 11 different teams. So one team has had 2 receivers catch passes for 50 yards or more. Anybody know which team that is? I'll tell you. It is your Denver Broncos.
I was going to say that.
Have caught 2 passes, have 2 different players. They're the only team in the NFL with 2 Mims and what was that other guy? Brandon something or other.
On the Hail Mary, right?
Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, the guy who caught the Hail Mary. So 2 50-yarders for back. Both of them were this last week. They are the only team to have done that. So Tommy, when it comes time for our picking, you will get to go first. Well done on that.
Doesn't even feel like a win. I disappointed myself.
Well, I'm super proud of you.
Thank you, Pat. Your word means more than anybody else's.
All right. So Tommy, you get to go in the special box here. We are going to start with your first game of the week, and we are going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Jaguars, and it's not necessarily about the Houston Texans being, great. I think the Houston Texans are still one of the lesser teams in the league. They're not going to have a very good record at the end of the season, but Jacksonville hasn't been, nearly what we expected. I mean, it was a very close game against the Colts, which is Anthony Richardson's first game, and all the props to him. But the Jaguars were supposed to be one of the solidified playoff teams, and letting an unknown team like the Colts, even make it competitive is a little bit worrisome. And then they only put up 9 points against the Chiefs, and I understand the Chiefs are a very good team, but they're not known for their defensive expertise. They're known for their offensive expertise. And putting up 9 points against a team that is still well above average on defense, but not one of the top 3 or 4 teams, it worries me a little bit. And I think that they're too inconsistent, and they just don't show up whenever they need to. And Trevor Lawrence really doesn't look like that guy all the time. They're seeing flashes of rookie Trevor Lawrence every once in a while. And I think the Texans could really take advantage of that. They've got a smart head coach in D'Amico Ryans. CJ Stroud looks like a monster. And the team is just not healthy. The Texans are not a healthy team right now. And once they get a couple bodies back and people are feeling healthier, I think the Texans are going to lose, but I think it's going to be maybe a 6, maybe a 7-point game. I think 9.5 is a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the Jaguars didn't look great in week 1. Lawrence struggled there, and I watched that Chiefs game a couple different times. He did miss a lot of passes that he would normally have hit. Certainly, we did not see second half versus the Chargers, Trevor Lawrence, this week. And, Calvin Ridley looks good in that offense, but he didn't get into it nearly as much in week 2 as he did in week 1. Travis Etienne did not do a whole lot on the ground. I'm concerned about the Jags offense. Their defense looked fine. Their defense put pressure on Mahomes. They did a decent job of covering on the back end. They really did shut down the Kansas City running game. But offensively, the Jaguars aren't the team that we all thought they were going to be when the season started. They can still get there, and I think they will still get there. It's just right here in September, there's some growing pains, and it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, going off of what you said about Calvin Ridley, he had one really good half of football in that opening half against the Colts. They made some halftime adjustments, and he's kind of been, non-existent since. Just hasn't, and that somewhat correlates with the success that the Jags are seeing on offense so far this season. I think that if they can work him back in, try and get him some more looks this upcoming week, maybe we see some more production. I think that when he is on, dude, he is a great player and a great weapon. I agree. I think the window is the spread's just a little too big here. Houston can cover this. I like them at plus 9.5.
All right, moving on to another rookie quarterback, Bryce Young at the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, so I'm going to pick the Panthers plus 5.5 here. For a couple of reasons. One, I think this might just be my own personal interpretation, but I really do think that the Seahawks and the Saints, they're not similar teams, but they're similar in terms of talent and where we expect them to end the season. And the Panthers only lost by 3 to the Saints, and they held their own. The running games looks very good. I mean, Miles Sanders looks better than ever. Bryce Young, he's disciplined. He stays in the pocket. I like where they're trying to go. Basically, they're not there yet, but I like where they're trying to go. And I think where they're trying to go is going to put them within 5.5 points. It is a really weird spread. The number is in a very difficult. If it was plus 6.5, I'd be all over it. I'm a little more tentative here, but plus 5.5 against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, we know they've been on and off. Week 1, obviously, we can't take a lot of stake in week 1, but they didn't look like the best team ever in week 2. And I think the Panthers could make it a 3-point game, just like they did against the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are fortunate not to be 0-2 and really being on life support in terms of their playoff hopes. The way they just got manhandled by the Rams, they showed some life against the Lions there, but DK Metcalf got banged up a little bit. Their tackles have been banged up. They're the better team and they'll win this game. But like you said, this is going to be a final possession game, a field goal kind of a game. I don't know that I'm going to put any money on the Panthers, but I'm not going to put any money on the Seahawks for sure. I think I'm going to just stay away from this game.
Yeah, this is one that I'm definitely going to take myself out of. Usually you see a young quarterback enter one of these bigger, louder NFL stadiums. They tend to kind of shell up. They start to see what the league is about. Bryce Young has been here before. He's been playing in the biggest stadiums, some of the loudest stadiums in the South in college, and he made it look easy. I don't think the stage is going to be too big of a factor for him. I think that he can keep this game close. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. Not a fun one for the wallet. I'm gonna stay away, but I do like the 5.5 pick there.
Knowing Ben, he's going to put money on the game anyways. If there's something he thinks that he can't get, he's going to put money on it regardless.
Listen, 5 minutes before every kickoff, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I can steal a buck here and there. Let's see what happens.
All right. Here's a fun fact. There are 7 2-0 teams in the NFC, which is an all-time record since the league went to 4 divisions. There are only 2 2-0 teams in the AFC. That is an all-time low since the league went to 4 divisions. The Miami Dolphins, one of those 2-0 teams, and they are playing a team that is near and dear to all of our hearts.
Now, I am going to ride the Broncos train just this once, because what I saw from the Broncos last week was a lot of fight that I haven't seen from them last year. There's a lot. I think that it's a mentality thing. And as much as, we can say their offense is playing better, we can say that they have more explosive plays. Sean Payton is really, is putting the aggressiveness in the team this year. You can tell just by watching them play that there's just a different level of intensity and there's a second motor in all of those players. It's a whole different football team, and I'm loving it, as much as I hate saying that I'm loving anything about the Broncos. And Miami, yeah, they are 2-0. They look good. But I'm a little bit worried about them playing so close against one divisional rival, and then the Chargers, who we all know, we thought that Miami could steamroll that team. And they only won by 2, and it was really last second. I don't trust that. The Broncos have a bet are more. I trust Sean Payton more than Brandon Staley is what I'm trying to say here, and I think that the Broncos are going to keep it well within 6.5. If the Broncos do lose, which I could see them actually getting a win out of this, they're only going to lose by 3. I would even if it was plus 4.5, I would still be taking the Broncos here, and my prop is actually from this game as well. It's regarding the Broncos offense, and I think that Russell Wilson is going to have a great game. The reason I say this is because I think Russell Wilson, the last 2 games, Russell Wilson has had over 1.5 passing touchdowns for 2 games in a row. And the Miami Dolphins pass defense is middle of the pack. And if Russell Wilson is playing a middle of the pack defense, and if consistency remains consistent, he should have 2 passing touchdowns again. And I'm all for that. Plus 124 is easy money too.
So when I hear somebody say that I'm on the Broncos train and the Broncos might get a win out of this, I think of this clip.
You want me to kick you in the nuts?
That's what I'm reminded of when I hear people talking about the Broncos train. They lost 2 games at home to one team that's god awful in the Raiders, and we saw just how god awful the Raiders are when they went to Buffalo. And the Commanders, who we all like, but admittedly the Commanders are limited, and the Commanders really should have won that game by 8 points as opposed to the 2 points they ended up being. It's a fluke Hail Mary there at the end. Tua Tagovailoa is actually now the betting favorite to win the MVP. He has passed Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP. Now, yes, that is a huge overreaction by the betting public. Don't go out and bet on Tua to win the MVP. But it speaks to how well he fits into this offense. Bill Belichick bottles up Tyreek Hill, so then Raheem Mostert goes off. There's so many different ways that the Dolphins offense can beat you. There are so many fast guys on this team. And when the Kansas City Royals won the World Series back in 2015, they had a lot of fast guys. And their whole philosophy was speed don't have slumps. And that's the same thing here with the Miami Dolphins. Speed don't have slumps. You're always fast, even if you're not playing well. And I just don't see the Broncos being in this game at all. This is Miami's first trip home. This is their home opener. Everybody in South Florida is nuts right now because the Dolphins are in first place, and the Dolphins look like, at the moment, they look like the class of the AFC. I think Miami wins this game by 10 points.
Now, the reason that I'm going to disagree with you just in one area is, speed never slumps. However, the Broncos defense...
Speed don't slump. Speed don't slump. Don't pretty it up with it.
Speed don't slump. English. I apologize. Let me correct
speed
myself.
Don't slump.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to, hurt Kyle's feelings. Yeah. Sorry. But
Terrence Gore, the pinch runner, designated pinch runner for the Kansas City Royals. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, there you go. I think the Broncos defense is going to be the best defense that the Dolphins have faced so far. I mean, we've been talking about how Patrick Surtain is incredible and how he is going to be in Defensive Player of the Year conversations. And that defensive back unit is serviceable. And I think the Broncos defensive unit as a whole is what's going to keep this game close. And I could see them losing by 10, but with their defensive capabilities, I don't think Miami has had to prepare for anything close to that. The Washington defensive back unit is mediocre at best. Their front seven's okay, but the Broncos
is fantastic.
Yeah. But the Broncos are well rounded, and that's what I like about the Broncos defense. And I think they could really make it difficult for Tua and and they had trouble against Belichick's defense, and their defensive back room, I would argue, is not as good as the Broncos.
So this is what I'm gonna throw 2 things out there. Number 1, defensive secondary of Denver. It can be good. It can be good as long as Kareem Jackson isn't doing stupid shit on the field. And he's done it in both games. It's insane. You'd think he'd learn, but he doesn't. You see the whole momentum change in that team and the defense trying to figure out how to play without a captain. You have that C patch on your chest for a reason, bro. Come on, you can't be making dumb mistakes like that. The other thing is, I like your prop bet, Tommy. I do. I do think it'll hit, and I think it'll hit on the first 2 drives of the game, and then we'll be scoreless for the rest of the game. Because that's what this team is. They're a bunch of bums. You know the difference between us and the Cardinals is the media market share and how many fans we have. If Cardinals had as many fans as the Broncos, they'd be talked about in the media the same way the Broncos are. Oh, maybe they'll turn it around. We cover up too much of the Midwest for them to not talk positively about us at week 3. If there was no market share, they would call us what we are. Bums. This team has been bums since Peyton Manning has left. And you know what? It's not changing. It's not changing. It's another 0-2 Broncos start. Now, I do think this team is different. I do think they can turn it around. I do think they have a shot at Miami. But does this team even deserve that kind of belief? They don't, because they've been bums for the better part of the past decade, and they'll continue to be bums. Okay, like until they figure out how to just fix the small stuff and just play fundamentally sound football. They're going to be bums. And honestly, the sooner the media starts telling them they're bums, the better, because that's when they'll start hearing it. But they've been told all offseason, you're the team to beat. You're the team to beat. You're not the team to beat. You sucked last year. You're the team that should be overlooked. Come on. That's what I'll say about this Broncos team. It's been a hard few seasons, friends. But I'll tell you, I do think that they can keep it within 6.5. I think that they're gonna break my heart. I think that this is all like on point for another just total meltdown. Listen, I love the belief and I love the faith in 6.5. And I'm gonna think 5 minutes going into the game that the Broncos are gonna win the game, because that's the kind of fan I am. But if I'm gonna tell you all a secret, degenerative better that I am, I'm moving the money away. I can no longer let the Broncos financially hurt me as much as they are emotionally hurting me. Okay? So that end of tirade here. Thanks for coming to the TED Talk. But yeah, no, this team's a bunch of bums.
How long have you been holding on to that one?
It's spicy.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Hey man, that's a lot of hurt. That's a lot of hurt building up there, Tommy. That's what that is right
Ben,
there.
you look like you need a hug.
If you want to talk your shit, pimp.
Dude,
About your own
I
team,
need a
too.
hug. I need a
Your
hug.
own
You know
team.
it.
And the worst part is, after all that, you're like, yeah, but they'll still cover the 6.5.
Hope.
All
I
right.
hope. Me and you hope.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I think we're all going to be tuning into that game. Can you go like on Twitch? I want to do a live Twitch with you watching the Broncos game. I think that would be some good,
Just listen
some
to,
good
listen to
viewing
the
there.
Ben live stream. We don't even
Well,
need to see the screen. I just want to, like, by his reaction to the game,
Yeah.
we'll know exactly what happened.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll set up a reaction cam and we'll pitch together. We'll stitch together some highlights for the viewers next week. How about that? And we'll do that.
Excellent. All right. We've got 2-0 teams meeting in Tampa Bay, because we all knew that Tampa Bay was going to be 2-0. Hey, a quick note here before you get talking. Baker Mayfield under pressure, 2018 to 2022, passer rating of 58. Baker Mayfield under pressure in 2023, passer rating of 123. All right, take it away, Tommy. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Yay, Buccaneers 2-0. Woohoo! Okay, it's the Vikings and it's the Bears. Now let's calm down. I think that's all the props I'm going to give to the Bucs are going to happen right now. Ready? I'm going to give myself a 10-second span. Baker Mayfield looks good. The offensive line looks great. The team looks pretty put together on offense, surprisingly for I think I'm going over my 10-second limit here, for a group with just Baker at quarterback. But he is more than serviceable, which I'm going to rub in your guys' faces till the end of the season because I defended him during week 1, and I'm very proud of him. But that's all I'm giving him. Boom, right there. Now let's talk about the Eagles. The Eagles are 2-0, and although they don't have that same swagger as last year, they are still one of the best teams in the NFC, and the Buccaneers have faced dog dookie. That is what they have faced. And I think that as much as, Baker looks great under pressure, he's not under pressure that often because his offensive line just happens to be better than the defensive units that he's playing against. Now, we're going to the Eagles, and the Eagles' defensive line is very good. And now Baker's going to be under pressure a lot quicker. He's not going to have as much time to develop what's going on around him and understand, where his receivers are on the field. It's all going to be a lot quicker, and that's when we're going to see the old Baker. He's going to throw he hasn't thrown a pick this season, has he? Has he? I don't know if he has. But if he hasn't, which he has not, his first pick is going to be thrown against the Eagles. And the Eagles are going to win by a touchdown. I like the Buccaneers to put up a fight, but it's still the Eagles are winning. And it's going to be very obvious which team is better at the end of the day.
The Buccaneers get no credit because one of the teams they beat was the Minnesota Vikings. Philadelphia Eagles beat the Minnesota Vikings because the Minnesota Vikings fumbled the ball 4 times. Otherwise, the Vikings win that game. Otherwise, the Eagles are not 2-0. They're 1-1. But the luck of the bounce is that the Eagles recovered. There were 5 fumbles in that game, and all 5 were recovered by the Eagles. That is unreal luck. That's the same kind of luck that the Vikings had last year when they were 11-0 in one-score games. So I'm not necessarily a Baker believer, but right now the guy is hot as all get out. This game is in Tampa Bay. Nobody likes to have to go play in the big pirate ship. I mean, that's a tough get. That's a tough, I saw what happened with the Chiefs when they had to go down there in the Super Bowl. That's a tough place to play. I am going to give the Buccaneers their due because the Eagles have not looked good in either one of their 2 games. They struggled against the Patriots. If the Patriots know how to drag their toes, they can win that game. The Vikings absolutely could have won that game had they just held on to the football one extra time. The Eagles are going to be fine, but right now they are similar to the Jaguars. They're just off to a slow start and they haven't figured it out yet. Changing both your coordinators is a big deal, and I think people overlook that in the offseason. They've got 2 brand new coordinators. I think that makes a difference. We're seeing a lot less planned runs for Jalen Hurts, a lot less that are being called, and it's changed the way they play. And defenses often regress after having super incredible years. Now, the defense is still good. That defensive line is still great. Jalen Carter looks every bit the beast that we thought he was going to be. But I think the Bucs can make a game out of this. I don't like the fact that it's a 5.5-point spread. The Eagles have played 2 close games that they could have lost. I don't think they're going to be in danger of losing this game, but I could see this being a 24-20 kind of a game, and the Buccaneers covering that spread.
Yeah, for me, it's what really is hard. I mean, we joke about the pirate ship, but that Florida Heat, especially early on in the season, this is not fun to play, and especially in the 4th quarter. And if your defense is going to be having to play full speed in that Florida Heat, I can see them starting to slow down there at the end just a little bit. I like the Buccaneers to keep it close. Philly's only won by 6 and by 5. This is right in that margin of loss for them. I think that the Buccaneers can go out there and easily keep it within 3. I like the Bucs to cover 5.5 on this one.
All right, Tommy, your last game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. One of these teams is good. The other team is less good.
Oh, less good? They suck. So I think this one needs very few words. There's a simple math that is involved. Dallas Cowboys beat New York Giants by 40-0. Now, Giants beat Cardinals by 3. If my maths out correctly, that means that there is no question in my mind, it is 100% factual, that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win by exactly 43 points. It's basically the Giants suck, the Cardinals suck more, and the Cowboys put a beating on the Giants that Giants fans won't forget for the next 4 years, and we're just going to see more of it.
So I was actually writing about this earlier today. So the Cardinals at halftime were up 20-0. They were on pace to beat the Giants 40-0, as it turns out. They absolutely just kicked the Giants' ass up and down the field in that first half. And they played pretty well at Washington in week 1. So the Cardinals have had 6 pretty good quarters, well, four good quarters of football, 2 great quarters of football, and then 2 really terrible quarters of football. Those last 2 quarters don't happen. If they hold on and beat the Giants, we're thinking about this game very differently. The spread's not 12 points at that point. It's probably 7 or 8 had the Cardinals continued to play well in that second half. Something went haywire. The Giants had 5 possessions in that second half, touchdown, game-winning field goal, and that was it. And somehow the Cardinals just went belly up. But I really liked what we saw out of Josh Dobbs in that first half. I liked what we saw out of the Cardinals defense in that first half. Now, yeah, it was the Giants who were coming off their beatdown at the Cowboys. And right now the Cowboys are the most complete team in football. In fact, I'm a little embarrassed that none of us picked Micah Parsons to win Defensive Player of the Year because He is off to an amazing start.
Too easy.
Fun fact about Parsons: he has had 2 or more sacks in 28.6% of his NFL games. That is the highest in NFL history. And it's not just a little highest. The next highest is 21.6%. Reggie White, Hall of Famer Reggie White, 21%. Micah Parsons, 28%. This guy is kicking the crap out of offensive linemen at a rate we've never seen before. He's disrupting the play of the offense like we've never seen before. He just had 2 sacks last week. And that, again, Zach Wilson, but he's going against Josh Dobbs. I think he gets another 2 sacks. And yeah, all that talk about had the Cardinals not sucked the last 2 quarters, maybe they'd be closer, but they did suck those last 2 quarters. Cowboys right now are the most complete team. I've got the Cowboys winning this by 2 touchdowns. And please, dear God, Cowboys and 49ers, October 8th, stay healthy until then. I want to see 2 fully healthy teams go head to head. That game of the year, October 8th. Just stay healthy until then, please. God, please.
Well, right. The good Lord knows that, 90% of America is just waiting for this terrible reign of Cowboy supremacy to end. The 2 weeks is already too much for such an unbearable fan base. Let me tell you what, I liked it more when they were just miserable and telling us what they could be, okay? But gosh darn it, if they don't look like a great football team right now, man, they are just in crazy form for this star on the helmet, man. I'm not used to seeing this from Dallas, but they are just absolutely kicking the crap out of their opponents. I like them to cover 12.
I hate the Cowboys. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I can't pick the Cowboys minus 12 and then I gotta say something. I hate the Cowboys. I hate them.
Well, again, October 8th. Come on, everybody stay healthy. It's not that far away. You can do it. As long as they don't play on Monday night. Geez, everybody's going, Aaron Rodgers blows out his Achilles on Monday night. Nick Chubb blows out his knee on Monday night. No more. Oh, and the last Monday night of last year, DeMar Hamlin has cardiac arrest. No more. The Monday night curse needs to be broken. Let's get these guys healthy till they play. That's a Sunday night game, October 8th. In San Francisco. It's going to be a fantastic game. Both these teams are as studly as we think they are.
One of these days, I'm going to make the trip. One of these days, I'm going to make the trip and watch the Niners.
Tommy, thank you very much. Those are your 5 games. Up next is Ben. He moves to the fun box, and we will remove this take the Cowboys name off of our screen. All right, Ben, we are going to begin in the city of lost wages, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Las Vegas. Well, I've got the Las Vegas Raiders there.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Little Mexican Independence Week. Come on now.
Little Mexican flair on the Raiders. All right, go for it.
Well, let me tell you what. That Steelers-Browns game was something to watch, wasn't it? Just an absolutely crazy defensive battle. And Pittsburgh really needed their defense in that one. 14 points from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense there. I thought the opening pick 6 was kind of fluky. I think that most tight ends in the NFL catch that football and not let it go up there. And without that opening pick 6, we talked about that game kind of differently. Deshaun Watson didn't look great, and Pittsburgh still struggled. I think that Jimmy G in this Raiders offense will be more productive. I think that they'll be cleaner with it. I think there will be, far less defensive points. They're at home. Not that, Vegas is too crazy about the Raiders or anything, but I like the Raiders +1 here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the Steelers went into this last game against the Browns trailing in the fourth quarter. They generated negative yards of offense in the fourth quarter, and they won. It's only the second time that's happened since 1991. It is also the 50th straight game that the Steelers have failed to break 400 total yards of offense. That is the 5th longest streak since 2000, longest streak belonging to the Las Vegas Raiders. 5 more games, and the Steelers move into second on that list. I love George Pickens. I am kind of out on Kenny Pickett right now. I can see them easily hitting that 5 more games without 400 yards. I hate to say it because the Raiders are awful. and I hate the Raiders. And I speak to somebody. I speak to somebody who was at the LA Coliseum for a Raiders game, which was like being in the middle of a prison riot. Awful experience. I hate the Raiders, but Pittsburgh right now looks really, really average to below average. Raiders at home. Yes, there'll be a lot of Pittsburgh fans there because they don't really have a home field advantage, but I still like the Raiders to win this game.
I'm with you both on that. I think the Raiders are just going to be a little more put together than the Steelers. And I'm more worried about the Steelers' running game. I mean, this is their stats from last week. They had 55 rushing yards on 21 attempts. That averages out to, as a team, 2.62 yards per carry. That is horrendous, if you guys didn't know. The viewers, at least. My co-hosts absolutely know this. And 2.62 yards per carry is not going to win you a game against the Las Vegas Raiders, or the Los Vegas Raiders. So I have the Raiders winning too.
Well, it is time to free Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. Just let him sit there on the bench. I want Warren to get the majority of these carries. He needs to be the guy. Najee Harris is like most. I mean, Derrick Henry is the exception. Most Alabama running backs, have over the years been 3 yards a carry guys in the NFL, and that's what we're seeing out of Najee Harris. And I'm tired of it. Give me Jaylen Warren. Yeah, Steelers could do better. They're just not at the moment. All right. New England Patriots. The New York Jets.
I'm taking the New York Jets to cover plus 2.5 in this one. Listen, this is Mac Jones versus a beat-up yet still good New York Jets team. And you look at New England right now. They're letting Mac Jones just absolutely sling the ball. And I think that may be a downfall as they enter this divisional matchup with a defense with a very solid secondary. You're missing Tony Adams, but Adrian Amos, he played a very crucial part in a pretty solid defense in Chicago for a few years. I think that he should be serviceable in that position. Yeah, he's a little older. You still have Whitehead, Sauce Gardner, and Reed, holding it down. Brees Hall's questionable, but they have another guy, not sure if you've heard of him, named Dalvin Cook in the backfield. He's more than okay to step up into a bigger role. I like the Jets to be able to move the football just on the ground and just be a little bit more productive in this one. I'm not sure if I like them to win necessarily, but I do think that they can keep it within a point or two. I'm gonna take the Jets on this one plus 2.5.
Where is Aaron right now?
I was really looking forward to Bill Belichick versus Aaron Rodgers, so I'm a little disappointed that at a certain point I'll stop lamenting the Aaron Rodgers less New York Jets. Previously, without Aaron Rodgers, the New England Patriots have beaten the New York Jets the last 14 times they've played. In 4 games against the New England Patriots, Zach Wilson has 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That's not good. He lost all 4 of those games, shockingly enough. I just until that streak ends, until Bill Belichick loses to Zach Wilson, I'm not betting on Zach Wilson. The Jets have the Bills number. They do not have the Patriots number. I am going with the New England Patriots.
I'm not going to lie, Ben. I'm going to have to go against you on this one. And my reasoning for this is that the Patriots have played 2 very good football teams. They kept it within 1 score of the Eagles. And as Kyle said before, they were 1 toe drag away from possibly winning that game. And as much as it was a little bit of stat padding towards the end of the game, they only lost by 1 score to Miami. And I think both of those football teams are significantly better than we see in the Jets right now with Zach Wilson, quarterback. I think that the Patriots win, and I think they win by a touchdown.
All right. This is the wounded cornered animal game of the week. Both the Los Angeles Chargers and Minnesota Vikings had plans on making the playoffs and maybe making a deep run in the playoffs. They're both 0-2. Only 6 times since 1979 has an 0-3 team made the playoffs. So one of these teams is going to be eliminated from the playoffs come Sunday.
Yeah, this matchup comes at a point where I don't think any football fan was really expecting these teams to be in the positions that they are this early on. And neither team is giving me too much hope per se, but I will say you look at how the teams are interacting with each other in these tough stretches, and I think it says a lot about the team, right? LAC coming off of a heartbreaking loss, it's in overtime. It's to a team that you probably overlooked in Tennessee. Uh, it the thing about it was, yeah, they lost, but they were still together at least. Minnesota looked like they were just completely falling apart on the sideline. You see a lot of shots of just Justin Jefferson just sitting there, just like not really knowing what's going on. Like it seems like whiplash for this team because they did have it rolling last year. It looks like the implosion of Minnesota right now. I think it's too early to call it that, but we could definitely be seeing the start of that. I'm gonna take LAC in this one, uh, but yeah, I mean, a lot to be missing from both of these teams, you know.
And you've got your prop here from this game. You like
That
the
is
man
right.
Justin Herbert.
I like Justin Herbert. He needs to. I think that this is a game where he can just step up, put the team on his shoulders, and just kind of be like, "Hey, dude, I'm still the guy here." Uh, I think that he needs some like games that you look back on and you're like that was the Justin Herbert game. He needs to add a couple more. This is a very doable game for him. 276 and a half. I think that's easy. I think that he can hit that 300 mark. Uh, Obviously it depends on how the game goes and everything, but yeah, no, I like it. I like the line. So yeah, 276 and a half. All right, seems doable.
Did we see an update on Austin Eckler's health? I feel like that he may not be playing in this game. I don't know if he was at practice today or not. Tommy's going to be Googling that. Justin Herbert, over his last 4 games, 1,130 passing yards. That's a 282-yard average. He has 7 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 66 completion percentage, 0-4 record. He has been lights out, and he has continued to lose. What the hell is going on with Brandon Staley and the Chargers? The Chargers are the 36th team since 1960 to score 50-plus points in their first 2 weeks, have 0 turnovers. They are the only team to go 0-2 of those 36 teams. How is it that this team is playing this well statistically and is 0-2? And I mean, Ryan Tannehill looked like he was ready for the morgue after week 1. He looked fantastic in week 2. So I don't know what to make of the Chargers. It's Kirk Cousins actually was pretty good in prime time his last outing. Are we going to get a bad noon Kirk Cousins? I don't know. But man, I think we're going to have 700 yards of passing between these two guys, and somebody's going to lose a game that they didn't deserve to lose. That's my hot take. Is one of these two teams is going to lose, and probably look pretty good in losing. So I'm glad that this was your game, Ben, because I wouldn't want to pick it. It could go either way. And really, either team could win by like 30 points and nobody would be surprised. That's just the way these – are there two fan bases, two teams that are more in their DNA about losing games that they shouldn't lose than the Vikings and the Chargers? This really should be like a Week 18 game to see which of these teams goes to the playoffs. It's too bad it's happening so early in the season, but it's going to be a fun game. This is definitely one that I'm going to be have on my TV. This is going to be a fun game to watch.
And whichever team wins, once they go to the playoffs, they have to face the Bills because the Bills are notorious for doing that in the playoffs as well. That's the final boss, right? But first of all, Eckler, he did not practice today, and he said, and I quote, he is hoping to get back sooner rather than later, but has not offered any specific timetable for a possible return. so he could miss the game, which would put Joshua Kelly back there, which I don't mind. But I'm with you, I guess, on the Chargers pick. I would never, ever put my money on this game. This is just you have no idea what's going to happen because both the quarterbacks are going to play well. They always do. It's going to be a very offensive-focused game. It's probably going to be a fun game to watch from a fan perspective. But as a critic of the game, I'm going to hate it. And every time they flash to the sideline to show us one of those two head coaches, I'm going to be disgruntled. And I will not allow it. So I guess the Chargers, I guess.
If you are going to watch this game, I suggest watching Kenneth Murray. It is shocking how terrible he is at playing linebacker in the NFL. He has got to be the worst starting linebacker in the entire league. He just go and Google some Kenneth Murray highlights from the first 2 weeks. There's the ball's running to the left. He's over on the right sideline ready to make a play, and there's nobody within 50 yards of him. It's unbelievable. How the Chargers have a defensive-minded head coach, and they spent all this money on their defense, and Kenneth Murray is still playing for them. I don't have any idea, but boy.
A for effort.
Fun game.
A for
all right.
effort, right?
This actually, so we may not have Anthony Richardson, but fun game, I think. I think this is going to be a better game than a lot of people think.
Oh, this is the game that scares me the most with this line. 7.5? Are you kidding me? Listen, Minshew Mania is back, baby. And everyone knows that I like me a dude that's willing to take a hammer to his hand in the name of football playing time, okay? I'm a big fan of that guy. Here's the thing, though, about this Indy team is I really like them. I really like them in the first 2 weeks. The thing is, I'm a little worried this concussion may be a little deflating to the team, that they might get a little cloudy. Now, here's the thing about Minshew. It would completely fit his lore and everything about his narrative as a player for him to go in here and just absolutely just find a crazy win against the Ravens. Like, I think we could all see that happening. The thing is, I just don't think it will happen. I think that Lamar is going to go out there and do some stuff. Listen, the Ravens team, they're having some health issues at running back. I think that soon they're going to have to call up my grandma Kay to play for them in the backfield there, just with how much they're getting banged up back there. But I was debating this going back and forth. I'm going to take the Ravens in this one, 7.5. But I genuinely, and I mean this as a betting degenerate, I'm not going to touch this line. It seems like a trap for me. But for the spirit of the show, Ravens 7.5, get it done. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, if somehow this was to come down to 6.5, I'd feel differently about it. But at 7.5, I don't like it at all. I do like the way Lamar looked this last week in his new offense. He definitely showed signs of improvement from week 1. The injuries obviously are a concern. Their offensive line is banged up. They're missing 2 of their best offensive linemen. They're missing their top cornerback. They took a hit at safety. OBJ is supposed to be back. He hurt his ankle, but he's supposed to be fine. I mean, you don't need a lot of great players to beat the Colts, but I don't know. There's something about a guy who's everybody else is going to be coming in their Armani suits, and Minshew's going to be wearing his cutoff shirt with his stash going, and I don't know. I like the Colts. I like the Colts because of him. I'm not going to bet it, but I'll be rooting for him.
I'm actually going to go opposite of both of you. I think the Colts make this a 3-point game. I think that as much as Ben said it might be deflating with Anthony Richardson off the field, the thing about him having a concussion is he's still in the facility. And I know that him as a player, he met with those players and he told them that they can trust Gardner, and the team has full faith in Gardner Minshew. They all know that he's quite possibly the best backup quarterback in the NFL. He is a serviceable starter when he's put in. And there is a lot of people to this day that believe he should be starting for some football teams. He could be starting for a couple right now. You go down to Arizona, even with Joshua Dobbs the way he's playing, you're probably plugging Mark Gardner Minshew into that offense. I think that he is going to really pick up the pace. Zach Moss looked incredible last week. I think, and I'm not just saying that because he's on my fantasy team. I actually think he looks good. But I think that Colts offense is just overall a boatload better than it was last year. Thank God. And they look like a really put together team, and I think that they're going to give the Ravens a run for their money because the Ravens are still a little beat up. Even if OBJ is healthy, he hasn't been too much of a factor the last 2 weeks, and I would love to see a very competitive game here. The Colts won, and I know that Anthony Richardson had however many 2 rushing touchdowns last week, but Gardner Minshew still closed out that win. He drove them to the goal line, and they ran the ball in, and then he drove them to the red zone and threw a touchdown. I am confident in the Colts keeping this game. I don't think they're going to win. I think the Ravens are going to win, but it's going to be a 3-point game.
Well, this is the thing. This is how you do a backup quarterback. The Colts are smart. They've got a guy who's experienced, who started in this league, who started many games in this league. He's also been in multiple systems. Contrast that with Cincinnati, who may be in the situation where they're sitting Joe Burrow. Their backup quarterback has never completed an NFL pass in 4 seasons. Why would you ever go into a season like that? Give me Gardner Minshew over really most of the backups in the league. He's that good. He's that experienced. And yeah, I think he can make a big difference in this game. And again, he wears cutoff shirts. All right. Last game for you, Ben. Probably obviously the game that everybody is most looking forward to. The mano-a-mano, perhaps the Super Bowl preview, Justin Fields versus Patrick Mahomes.
Well, let me tell you here, Kyle, we're over here in the Windy City. I'm going to tell you, not too excited for this one as much as I'm sure the fans are in the Missouri-Kansas border area. Actually, Chicago Bear fans are dreading this one, believe it or not. Like they dread every Sunday. Every time the weekend rolls around, I just hear sobs. Usually people are happy it's the weekend. It tends to be the opposite here in the Chicagoland area. I digress, however. Listen, the Bears suck. like the Bears are just, they're bad. They're like laughably bad. Like, I think there's 2 or 3 college teams that could take Eberflus any day with any team. Their coach is horrible. Things have melted down so badly. Justin Fields, we're going into week 3, and he's already trashing the coaching staff, questioning play calling in the post-game presser, and then just saying, I don't know, maybe it's coaching, like talking about why he's not doing so great this year. You know how bad that is for the face of the franchise, okay? Everything that you did to bring this guy here, it's just... It's the Bears. It's the most Chicago Bears thing to do. They're such a bad team. Kyle, I'm gonna pass it off so you can talk about the good team playing in this game. But wow, the Bears are just bad, and they don't deserve to be within 20 with any team. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, so Chris Jones missed all of training camp. He missed all of preseason. And in his first game of the season, he had a pass rush win rate of 38%, which was the most of anyone in the entire league in week 2. Now he gets to play a quarterback who holds the ball for 7 seconds. Chris Jones may set the single game sack record this Sunday. I don't want to go back to the Bears, but my God, it's really, well, the Bears could have selected Patrick Mahomes. Let's not forget. They decided to go with Mitchell Trubisky, and the quarterback carousel has not stopped since. They thought they had their guy on Justin Fields, but man, I don't know how much of that game you guys watched against the Bucs. Go back in and watch the all 22. There are 3 open guys on the field, and he is sitting there holding the ball for 5 seconds and taking a sack when he could easily have had a completion downfield for 15 yards. He has shown no signs at all of understanding the speed or the timing of the NFL. And I feel bad for Bears fans because they really, really thought this guy was the guy. He's not, though. The good news for the Bears is that because the Panthers are bad, they're likely to have 2 top 10 picks next year. That may be enough to get yourself a Caleb Williams because they may have the number 1 pick again this year that they had last year and then traded away to the Panthers. So the Bears are not going to sign Fields, to a contract extension. There's just absolutely no way. He is not the guy. This is year 3 and he's showing nothing. Meanwhile, you've got the other team that's exactly everything that you want in a quarterback and a quarterback team relationship. The Chiefs just moved a lot of money forward so that Mahomes could get in line with the latest NFL contracts over the next 4 years. He's now going to make more money than anyone else. It's not any new money. It's money that was already on his contract. They've just pushed it forward, and then they'll revisit his contract in 2026 because at that point, he will once again be behind where the newest contracts are. It's a great relationship between Mahomes and the team, and it's the kind of relationship everybody dreams of. The Bears dream that they might have that with Justin Fields. They don't. The Chiefs are going to win this game by 20 points because the Bears are terrible on both sides of the ball.
I don't think I need to add anything to this. You guys really just spoke all the words that needed to be said. Chiefs minus 13, hit it.
I'm just gonna add one more thing about Justin Fields because I love talking about how bad he is. No, I was kidding. The dude he resembles the Johnny Manziel issues for me. It's a dude that got away with being the most athletic dude on the field in college, and then never actually had to learn the ins and outs of football. And at this level, you can't just throw it to a dude in double coverage. And like he couldn't at Ohio State. The things that he was able to do physically, just because of his athletic ability in college, have not translated to the NFL. And he refuses, or maybe is at this point, it's too late for him to learn all the ins and out of the game at this speed. Unfortunate that Trubisky ended up being a better quarterback for the Bears than Fields, but I think that at this point, that's something that Bears fans need to accept and just be ready to move on.
Yeah, we see it all the time. There's no position that fails as a high draft pick more than quarterback because that transition from college to the NFL is really hard. And these are guys who have been the best athlete on the field since they were playing football at the age of 12. Suddenly, everybody's a great athlete. The best athletes in the world are in the NFL. And all of a sudden, you've got a 300-pound guy who runs a 4.7, and you are like, holy shit, how am I supposed to handle this? When I was at Ohio State, all we did is we would just go out and recruit new guys, and we were always, they had like 15 guys in their team that were NFL worthy, and maybe they played a team that had 2 guys. Now everybody's NFL worthy, and you've got to make an adjustment. He's not. We see it all the time, and it's disappointing because, man, his splash plays are some of the most exciting there are in football. But when you're the quarterback, you can't have 3 splash plays a game and then suck the rest of it. It just doesn't work. And it's sad because he seems like a nice guy, seems like a good dude, but he's just not it. And the Bears will be moving on this offseason.
I actually have an incredible comparison to an NBA player for our boy over there, Justin Fields. He reminds me a lot of J.R. Smith. And if you guys know anything about J.R. Smith, he is a role player at best. But if you watch his career highlight tape, you would think that he is the best basketball player to ever walk on this earth. And that is Justin Fields. He is a highlight merchant, but an in-game flop.
Yeah, it's disappointing. All right. Thank you, Ben. Those are your 5. Now it is time for the Employee of the Month to present his 5 games. We're going to start with a game that I know all of us are looking forward to. The Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions. Now, these are 2 teams that are favorites of ours. And I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons for one simple fact. They run the ball really well. And Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, and it's not as though they don't have other good skill positions. They just love to run the ball. Arthur Smith is a master at it. He has taken the NFL back 25 years. I love it. The Lions are good. We like the Lions, but their rookie running back Jahmyr Gibbs has been kind of a no-show compared to Robinson. I think once Jameson Williams comes back, Lions, that offense is really going to start to click. They're not quite there right now. I'm disappointed in the way their defense looked against the Seahawks after really having a great pass rush against the Chiefs in week 1. They didn't really generate much pressure on Geno Smith in week 2. And the way they lost that game there at the end, I don't know. They could easily win this game, but I see the Falcons are going to play a tight, close game. Falcons are going to play a ball control, time of possession kind of game. Not a lot of scoring. Therefore, the point spread being at 3.5, I like it. I like the Falcons.
I mean, what I was telling you guys about the Falcons before week 1 is early season. The best thing that you can do, the most consistent part of the game, is the run game. And the Falcons have dominated and shown us that the run game will always work. And the best part is, I mean, they weren't that much of a dual threat last year with Desmond Ridder. He looks okay. Desmond Ridder looks like a serviceable starting quarterback, which a lot of us didn't really expect. I came into the season doubting him a little bit. I didn't think he was the answer. And the Falcons, I don't think they thought he was the answer either. But he's coming into the system. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's he may not be getting all these flashy stats, but he's not turning the ball over. And he's doing his job. He's running the ball well. He is one of the best runners on this team. And I am all for this Falcons team. I think I love both these teams. As we said, these are two of our show's favorites. But the Falcons plus 3.5, I think the spread is too big. I think that they're going to cover.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely a close matchup. I think especially once Atlanta is able to open up the play action against this Lions secondary that's already given up 537 passing yards this year, Ridder could have a great game. You just got to be watching with Bijan just pounding the rock. I think Detroit, just gets hungry on defense, bites on the play action. I like the Atlanta Falcons to cover 3.5.
If I could just get a little Kyle Pitts action, just like 4 or 5 catches. Come on, just come on, please. I'm dying over here on fantasy football. I started Jake Ferguson this last week because Kyle Pitts not getting anything.
Ooh,
he's killing me.
Gracious. Goodness
Hey,
gracious.
Ferguson got a touchdown, so it was a
you know
brilliant
what?
move. It was a brilliant move by me. What you'd expect from the employee of the month. Okay. We're all on the Falcons. Tennessee Titans at the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know the Browns just lost Nick Chubb, but I really like the way Jerome Ford looked. Deshaun Watson looks terrible, which is a delight for everyone. And if the Browns would just be smart, hey, send Deshaun Watson to the Jets and then just start Dorian from UCLA. Every NFL fan would totally be behind a little Thompson Robinson taking over and getting rid of Deshaun Watson.
DTR, baby.
The douche. Yeah, DTR would he'd be like the highest selling jersey just overnight if he became the starting quarterback of the Browns and Watson got the boot. But this defense is very good. I know that the Titans just had a pretty good game against the Chargers. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill looked good, but this defense, a little different than the Chargers defense. This defense is going to get after him. I don't think it's full regression for the Titans, but I think at least in the wake of the Chubb injury, the Browns are going to kind of all gather together, and he's their heart and soul, and they're going to win one for Nick. And I think they win this game, and I think they cover the spread.
One of my favorite parts about this this game is the reunion of Kareem Hunt to the Browns. 1 year, $4 million contract. Kareem Hunt is back, and if Jerome Ford, doesn't have that great of a game, because sometimes it's hard to replicate, especially if you don't have consistent playing time. You put Kareem Hunt into a system he already knows, and that is a dual threat back right there. This Browns team isn't going to lose a step. They're going to lose a step because they're losing one of the best running backs in the league, but they're not going to lose 5 steps. They're going to beat a Titans team that the Titans team is always 10 steps behind. So losing 1 step isn't going to put them behind the Titans.
Man, I really like Ford as a running back. He really stepped up in a big way for this Browns team. My number one concern for them, like we were talking about it earlier, they gave up 14 points to the Pittsburgh defense. I'm looking for them to cut down on those turnovers. If we see those turnovers, I think that the Titans can easily stay within 3.5. I don't think those turnovers are going to be at this game. I think that they're going to be focusing a lot about that. I don't think Deshaun Watson looks like a better quarterback this next week. I think that he's just actually bad when you have to throw it down the field. But I it's a weary line because I could see Tennessee being in that 3-point range, but I think I'm gonna side with you guys on the Browns 3.5 on this one, as long as there's no fumbles and interceptions.
Well, I mean, Watson gave away both those touchdowns, so who knows what he's going to do. Kevin Stefanski did say that Ford is the guy. I mean, he's the reason why they didn't bring back Kareem Hunt, and initially it was because they liked Jerome Ford. So Ford's going to be the guy going forward, but Hunt played that RB2 role really well the last couple of years. He'll be great in that position again. And like you said, Tommy, this is a guy who can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He does a lot of good things, and he knows that offense. It'll be interesting to see how much he gets used this week. Obviously, he hasn't been playing football, although they brought him in for a workout. Apparently, he was in pretty good shape, so they signed him. So who knows? We'll see. But should be a good game. All right. This game I am really interested to see because the New Orleans Saints have a really, really good defense. So far, their offense has looked like Derek Carr's the quarterback. Green Bay Packers have had a really, really good offense. Fun fact, Jordan Love has 2 games of 3 touchdowns or more this year. Last year, in all of 2022, Aaron Rodgers had 1. So the Green Bay Packers have upgraded at the quarterback position with Jordan Love, and it looks like it. Their offense is rolling. They did lose a close one this last week, but not because of Jordan Love. So I think they get back into the winning ways. I think they win this game. I think they win by a touchdown. I like the Saints defense a lot. They're still going to miss Alvin Kamara for 2 more weeks. I think until Kamara comes back, this offense in New Orleans is going to be a little bit, they're going to look like that they're playing a little shorthanded. Carr is fine. Michael Thomas is still healthy. 2 weeks in a row, good for him. But really, this is all about the Packers offense. Jordan Love's this will be his first home game as the guy, as the man, and the Packers will feel it at Lambeau Field and win this game going away.
I'm with you. I think the Packers win this game. I think they win by a field goal. I don't think they're going to win by that much, but it's also because the Saints have a tendency to keep games close and low scoring, and I think they might do the same for the Packers, but Packers are going to win. I like Jordan Love. He looks incredible. 3 touchdowns in 2 games is quite impressive, especially for a guy that's been sitting behind for 3 years now. And, Derek Carr Saints, they look all right on offense, but we do have to wait for Kamara to come back to see that full potential.
Dang, who would have thought that both the Carr brothers would be pretty mediocre quarterbacks? Who would have thunk it, huh? I'll tell you what, guys. I like the Packers in this one. I like them by a field goal, too. I like that -2 line. That's actually kind of nifty right there. So, yeah, I'm going to go Packers.
All right. Buffalo Bills at the Washington Commanders. I need to remind you guys, we're all on the train. We're all on the train. There it is. There's the train. We are all on the Commanders train. Hold on. I got to get back to the special window. I can't do games without the special window. Okay. Bills, Commanders. Now the Bills just beat the pants off the Raiders 38-10. Josh Allen, instead of giving away turnovers, was giving out touchdowns. That is the Josh Allen that you get when you play a bad defense in Buffalo. When he plays a good defense on the road, which we saw in week 1, he struggles. He's playing a good defense on the road in the Washington Commanders. I don't think that the Commanders win this game, although I will be rooting heavily for them. But I do think that they will keep it a close game. They've got a very good front 7. I think they're going to get after Josh a little bit, maybe force a pick or 2 because he tends to force things when he's getting some pressure. And I think that Brian Robinson will have another big game on the ground. I don't think the Bills' rush defense is all that great. I also have a prop from this game because I think that Terry McLaurin is the best wide receiver that you don't ever hear from. A lot of the other wide receivers love to talk. We all hear Jamar Chase talking. Justin Jefferson loves to talk. We don't hear a lot from Scary Terry. I'm going to go Terry McLaurin over 55.5 receiving yards and Stephon Diggs under 74.5 receiving yards. And that's going to pay me plus 250 on that. Diggs just went under this against the Raiders. It was Gabe Davis who had 92 yards in that game. He was the one who had the receiving yards. I think with Dawson Knox, obviously the Bills love their cook at running back. He had a big game last week. I think that the Bills are getting better at spreading things out. I think that's going to suppress Diggs' numbers a little bit against a pretty good defense. And Scary Terry is awesome. He's always awesome. I like the Bills to probably win this game, but not cover the spread. Go Commandos. Taking my 6.5 points and laughing to the bank.
I love both of these picks. I like the prop, and I love the game pick. Fun fact, Brian Robinson is third in the entire NFL in fantasy points at the running back position. There's your fun fact for the day. He's 38 points, which is just behind Kyron Williams and Christian McCaffrey. So I'm big on Brian Robinson right now. I'm trying to trade for him in fantasy, but my league mate will not let that happen. But I think the Commanders, I actually have a little bit of confidence in the Commanders coming out here and winning this game. Josh Allen is not only playing away with a good defense, against a good defense, but he's also playing on the most dangerous field in football. So Josh Allen in the most dangerous field in football does not sound very fun to me. And I think he's not going to have a great game.
Yeah, he could get splashed with feces. He could have a wall fall on him. It's hit or miss when you're at FedEx Field.
All aboard, listeners. There is plenty of room with us on the Washington hype train. This team is for real. We have all bought in. It's time for you to buy your ticket and join us. We're going with the Commanders plus 6.5 against the Josh Allen-led Bills. Come on, this has got to be a lock. This has got to be a lock. This is the team of destiny. Come on, listeners. Let's get on board. Get on board.
You get rid of shitbag Daniel Snyder, and all of a sudden the Washington Commanders are a great team again, and we all love them. Funny how that worked. Yes, get on the Commanders, everybody. All right, our final game of the 15 games we're doing. The Los Angeles Rams at the Cincinnati Bengals. I know. Yes, I'm taking the Rams. They're not getting a lot of points on the road, but Joe Burrow may not play. He's banged up. Matthew Stafford looks good. This offense looked good against a very good Niners defense. I mean, the Niners defense is top 3 in the league, and the Rams were able to move the ball. Tommy just mentioned Williams, the rookie running back, who second in the league in fantasy points. He is Cam Akers just got traded tonight. We're recording this on Wednesday. Cam Akers just got moved because Kyron Williams has been that good. Obviously, you've got Nakua, the rookie wide receiver sensation, who has been he's become Cooper Kupp with Cooper Kupp out. What did he have? 15 catches last week, 20 targets. I mean, he and Matthew Stafford they're like best mates all of a sudden. And really, it is that injury to Joe Burrow. The Bengals just don't look very good right now. Their offensive line has some troubles. I think that Aaron Donald feasts on what is an average offensive line. And the Bengals dropped to 0-3. And again, only 6 teams since 1979 have made it to the playoffs. So there you go. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams and getting 1.5 points. And this spread may, as we get more news on Joe Burrow, this spread may get bigger as we go, or in favor of the Rams may become favorites. So get on it now before we know for sure what's happening with Burrow.
Slam the plus 1.5 on the Rams as soon as you can, because they are going to wallop the Cincinnati Bengals. We not only have inconsistencies and the injury of Joe Burrow, which was my first concern. Even if he does play, the Rams were within one score of the 49ers. It was 30-23. And that offense put up points against a formidable defense. And the Bengals defense happens to not be very formidable. I think that if you think of the 49ers as a brick wall, I think of the Bengals as a wall made of straw that the big bad wolf could blow down. And the Rams are going to be the big bad wolf and blow down their little straw house.
Currently, listeners, at the time of recording, you can get the Los Angeles Rams at +2.5 at -105 at DraftKings. Can you believe that?
Wow.
-105. You got to go run out there and grab this one. I think that even if Joe Burrow is playing, he's not. It's a calf injury. He's not going to be able to have that same pocket movement that he usually does, which against this defensive front of the Rams will become an issue. I think it's almost safe. Regardless of how good he feels, you know he's not going to be 100%. He isn't going to have that mobility there. I would say sit him regardless at that point, because you know he's going to be taking some massive hits from this LAR front. I like the Rams with you guys at +1.5, and if it's still at +2.5, right? What are you doing listening to us? Go open up that app and play some money.
Yeah. That's all I can say is yeah. Go Rams, go. What was their old song from the 70s? Ram it. I think they're gonna ram it at the stadium formerly known as Paul Brown Stadium. I don't even know what it's called
God,
now.
I hope not. God.
But yeah, the Bengals are of the 0-2 teams. The Bengals, I think, are the one that should be the most worried, and it's because of the injury, and it's because of the Ravens' fast start. The other 0-2 teams have some cause for concern, but not quite as bad as the Bengals. That is our show, gentlemen. Week 3, a lot of games to look forward to. Some really great games. Some games where teams really their future is going to be decided. I mean, especially I'm thinking about that Vikings-Chargers game. One of those teams is going to be looking ahead to 2024, and one of those teams is going to be looking ahead to who's going to get fired over the course of the season. And one of those teams is going to feel like that they just saved their season. Some really great betting picks. Guys, thank you so much. So this week, Monday Night Football debuted a brand new theme song. So I thought as we...
Beautiful. Actually, Kyle, before we go, we got to do our...
We still got to make our picks, Kyle.
No,
we got to make some money for the listeners. Come on, Kyle.
I did this last week, too. I'm just so ready to get done with you guys.
He's so ready for football. He's ready to get to the games, Kyle is. Y'all already know. He's like, just get there.
I saved you last week. Ben saved you this week. You know?
It's like Christmas. If I go to sleep, I'll wake up and there'll be a Thursday game. Okay. Sorry, my mistake. So, Tommy, you did win the game. That means you get to go first. Please tell us your favorite of the week.
My favorite of the week is going to be the Chiefs -13.
All right.
I know it's a very big spread to pick for favorite, but I feel like
it's against the Bears. I don't know that you can have too big a spread. All right. Your underdog of the week.
My underdog of the week. Okay. I'm this might be cheating. I know we picked, I'm gonna ask you permission. I know we had the +1.5 on the board for the Rams, but right now DraftKings is saying +2.5. Or because regardless, I'll pick the Rams. If I have to pick +1.5, I'll absolutely do that.
You get +1.5.
I'll work with that. I can work with that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's been our standard.
Had to ask for an exception this time,
yeah.
But that's not what
so
it turned out.
So just so the everybody who's listening understands, we lock in our spreads that we're going to choose on Tuesday, just so that we have time to make those choices before we record on Wednesday. And obviously, there is line movement between Tuesday and Sunday. So the spreads that we give you are the spreads that we are picking, but obviously the spreads that you should pick should always be done with your best bet or your best interest in mind. So watch for moving spreads. Yes, so Tommy's locked in at 1.5. but you should go out and get that 2.5. Absolutely.
Agreed.
All right. Your money line of the week.
I'm going to go a little risky on this one. I've made quite a lot of money on my money line so far.
Okay.
How much have I made, Kyle? I think you told me.
You've made $466.
Well, that's as a
I'm sorry,
group, correct?
$266.
$266 on my money line, so I'm going to go for the big cash out. I want the Colts plus 275.
Colts plus 275. All right.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right, Ben, your favorite of the week.
My favorite, I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys over the Arizona Cardinals.
Dallas giving 12 to the Cardinals. All right, your underdog.
My underdog is going to be. I hate doing this. It's after this show. I really hate doing this. It's going to be those bums from Denver at 6.5. I'm going to take the bum Broncos plus 6.5 against Miami.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I hate it.
All
I
right,
hate it.
and your
so
money
much.
line.
And I hate this one even more. I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna take them at minus 135 is what I have them at.
Minus 135. All right. So my favorite, I am going to take the Green Bay Packers minus 2. My dog, I am going to go with the Atlanta Falcons getting plus 3.5. And my money line, I am taking the Washington Commanders at plus 230.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
I have fallen behind on the money line game, and so I would like to make up some ground. And I think the Commandos are going to do it for me. All right. Now, back to what I was saying before I got troubled with us making more picks. Monday Night Football started a brand new show opening this week. Now, I don't know how you guys felt about it. Look, Snoop can be on my TV pretty much all the time. I'm not sure about combining Chris, what's his name? Shelton?
Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton. Is there a Chris Shelton out there somewhere? Is that
That's a Blake. That's Blake.
I don't follow country music. But anyway, Snoop is good. Obviously, Phil Collins in the air tonight. Awesome. I'm a big fan. But I thought as we went out tonight, we would look back at one of the older songs that we had for the NFL on television. The NFL on NBC, when they debuted a new song in 1973, this is 50 years old. What I like about it is, A, it speaks very, very much to the time in 1973. It's also an instructional video. If you've never put on NFL or any kind of football pads, this video kind of shows you how to do that. But this was the NFL and NBC in 1973. Enjoy as we go out. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube, listening on your podcast of choice. We are all over the place. You can find us pretty much anywhere. And thank you so much to Tommy Birch and Ben O'Connell. I am Kyle Garlett. Happy betting in week 3.
Let's go bums.